I'm so humbled and honored to introduce our special guest tonight. For context, after October 7th, Matthew and I took our kids to Israel in December of 2023. Our dear friend Joel Rosenfeld, who so many of you know, our trip leader, said, "You need to meet Chen and hear the story of Nero's." Joel's daughter is very connected to the community. Matthew and Sadie and Joel left at 5 a.m. They met Chen in his factory, and the relationship began. He came home to the United States, Matthew, shared the story of this very small community with TBJ, and Jeff Kaplan said, we have to help. We can't just sit here. Matthew, Jeff and Amy Kaplan, Rena, Jody Cooperman and her family became our anchors. And so begins the story of this love affair between our communities. TBJ at its finest jumped in. We bring Nero's B'nai Mitzvah kids in June. Our communal machine jumped in, and the relationship only deepened. It's actually almost difficult to describe the connection that's been formed. October 7th changed our lives, and it most certainly changed this community. Participating in meetings this week and listening how they described, our new friends described TBJ and how we've taken them in so many ways, hugging, holding, really like no other community except their own. Nero's is where they were born and raised, where 117 people were either murdered or taken hostage, and now these beautiful members of this community need to rehabilitate and build their lives, rebuild their lives. There are so many people in our own community who have touched this community, and the commitment really goes so deep. However, for now, I just need to thank Amy and Paul Talbert, Amy Ledetsky, and Rachel Ratner. I mean, you are rock stars. These women, and Paul, actually do move mountains, and Rena and I, and of course Matthew and the clergy, are so blessed to be on this team with you. Okay. As we were in New York City this week, between meetings, Corinne, who you're going to meet, said to me, "I experienced such evil on October 7th, the worst, worst, worst of humanity. And now I'm able to see and feel the best in humanity. People who don't even know me just want to help me, take me in, and hold me." Thank you, Amit, Corinne, Siggy, Chen, and Eyal, for your friendship, your hearts, and your souls. You have no idea how much you've moved us. Matthew, our kids, and this entire family are here for you, and we are so honored to know you. Please now pay attention to this brief movie.
Kibbutz Nir Oz is a small kibbutz in Israel's western Negev. It is located 1.7 kilometers, barely a mile, east of Khan Yunis in the Gaza Strip. Fields of potatoes, avocado groves, and pomegranates cultivated by the kibbutz separate between Gaza and Israel. Up to October 7th, some 100 families lived on the kibbutz. 400 people, men, women, and children. Here we were born, here we brought our beloved spouses, and here we gave birth to our children. It was the home we had dreamt of. We wanted what our parents wanted for us, a simple life on the land that we plowed, sowed, and watered with love, while nurturing our dreams and hopes for a safe and peaceful future near the border. In Nir Oz, children always slept in the reinforced secure room because we had less than 15 seconds to take cover from the minute the alarm was sounded. We called this normal life. This is what we adapted to. We believed we were being guarded and told our children and ourselves that although we saw Gaza from our porches and fields, we were protected by the army and by our country. On October 7th, the morning of Simchat Torah, we awoke to a different reality. As the hours passed, it became excruciatingly clear that no one was guarding us or would come to our aid, and our community would be forced to fight with our own bare hands against hundreds of Hamas terrorists who came to murder us in our homes. Around 1 in the afternoon, 6.5 hours after the attack began, the last of the pillagers left the kibbutz. More than an hour passed before the first security forces entered the kibbutz. Not a single shot had been fired by the IDF in Nir Oz. The army did not fight in Nir Oz. They came only hours later to extract the massacre survivors, all wounded in body and soul.
We heard someone talking, and we were wondering if it was Hebrew or Arabic, and it was Hebrew. They were knocking on the door. They were saying, it's the military, it's Tzal. So we opened the door, and I remember like the sight of my house was insane. We couldn't believe like that this is what is happening like 2 centimeters from the door, and this is where we're at and we're alive. Like it was, everything was black and burning, black. And I remember that like we couldn't see. It looked like it was night, like you couldn't see. And the smell was terrible. It was like it was hell.
On that Shabbat afternoon, Amit and her children, when they left their burning home, still hoped that their grandmother Carol, their aunt and uncle Johnny and Tamari, and their cousins Shachar, Arbel, and Omer, who lived next door, were just injured and would meet them in just a few minutes. An entire family, mother, father, 3 children, and their grandmother who lived nearby, never made it out of the house next door.
So many bad things happened there that Saturday, and it's impossible for me to go back to live there. And I'm also very determined not to put my kids in a situation that they need to relive the trauma that they've been through for the rest of their lives.
In our temporary housing, a high-rise building in Kiryat Gat, the children leave their bicycles and muddy shoes at the entrance. It's the closest thing we have to our early lives at the moment. There, we are still waiting for those who haven't returned to us and are being held hostage by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Luckily, we are a solid community and choose to remain together with the hope we can keep growing even stronger until we can rebuild our homes somewhere else, far from the border. We cannot pick up the ruins of our lives and rebuild our homes above the gates of hell. This is a mission, perhaps, for others who were not there on that day. But we can gather our families and memories and move on to another place. The State of Israel was founded by Jews who came a long way to create a new and safe world for themselves and for others. We are asking for the opportunity to rebuild our community somewhere quieter. We need a promise of a different future. From the windows of our new homes, we want to see the sky, not a fence.
I have seen that video many, many, many times, and it's equally devastating every time that I see it. I want to introduce all of you to Chen, who many of you know because he was here with his son and with 8 other families in June for the B'nai Mitzvah trip. And this is Koren. And I also want to introduce you to Siggy, who is sitting in the row there, and Ayal, who is also there. And as Lauren said, we've spent lots of time with them this past week, and the relationship does indeed go. This is going to be really a tease because we're not going to do this for more than 12, 13 minutes or so. But we want you to be able to meet them in person, to hear little pieces of their story. You heard the story above that was so beautifully told. Amit was here also this week. She and Siggy switched places. She went home yesterday, and Siggy got here yesterday. So it's such an incredibly unfair question to start with, but it's now been 14 months. And I'd love to hear from you how you are today versus 6 months ago versus a year ago.
So I will start and say that since October 7th, I feel that I didn't stop. Like I start to do more and more and more and more and more, and running like on a wheel, like a mouse. And in order to feel that I'm doing, not thinking. And back home, our kids, in the beginning, we were sure they will back like to feel that they are normal, but with the time, we start to feel the fears. They are not sleeping at night. They have a lot of fears from everything, and it's around this story and this October 7th stories all the time. I can feel now that we are in the way somewhere. We are doing a lot to create a new future. What's make us strong in these days, it's that we are feeling that we are creating something new, that we are helping a lot of people that are not able to do anything still. And hopefully we will get there. I know we will, but we need time.
Correct?
I'm You hear me? Okay. My name is Koren. I was born and raised in the kibbutz. I'm Amiti's sister, the one that you saw in the movie. Oh, okay. On October 7, we were in the kibbutz. I have 4 kids. And during the day, we found out that we lost our mom and Johnny, my brother, and my sister-in-law, and their 3 kids, and many others from the community. A year ago, I was like, you somehow get through the minute, not even the day. And the only thing I could think of is like trying to understand. Like until now, I don't get it sometimes. Like, how did this happen to us? And I feel like the first few months were really dealing with the trauma, less with grief, more with the trauma. And later on, the grief began. When we were, in October 7, the day after October 7, we were taken to Eilat in Israel. It's considered to be a safe place to be after October 7. And after a month that we were there, I felt like I'm losing control of my family. Like it was a not ending Shiva. I couldn't keep my kids around, and the adult people were broken, and the kids were like running around with no answers and to so many hard questions, and it was really, really hard for us. And me and my husband felt like we have to leave, to just go somewhere else that is safer. And we came here. We were in Florida for 8 months, and which was really, really good for the trauma. Like if you're asking me, like a year before it. So it was really, really good for the trauma. Slowly we felt that when the grief came, we felt really alone, and we needed our community, even though Israel is still in war and we're still missing so many people from our kibbutz. I was kind of hoping that it will all end when I go back, but it didn't. And we felt like our healing, even though we were accepted by so many good people and a wonderful community, it wasn't the right thing for us. We needed our people and our friends and our community.
So you got back in June, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah. So you got back in June. You left Eilat when, Chen, did the community move to Kiryat Gat?
The 5th of January.
So October to January in Eilat, then you're Kiryat Gat, where you'll be there for about another year and a half, probably, something like that. And then there was a decision to be made. And 55 families, is it? 55 families, which of course you are representing, have decided not to separate from each other, to stay with each other, but have decided to actually move on to become part of another kibbutz. And there are some people going back to Nir Oz itself. Tell us about your decision to stay together but not to return to Nir Oz.
So after we got to Kiryat Gat, we start to think what we're doing. And we understood perfectly that although we grew in Nir Oz, we love Nir Oz with all our hearts. And we know, like I grow in the fields of Nir Oz since I'm 0. I know every piece of sand in Nir Oz. And we understand that we cannot continue and tell ourselves our emotional story about how much we love Nir Oz and how much Nir Oz is the only heaven on earth. And we should be more practical, more rational, and we cannot bring our families and our kids back to we call it the bloody streets of Nir Oz, back there, and to relive the trauma for the rest of our lives. So we start this initiative that the main goal was, first of all, to let all our community, which is so strong, to stay together. And you have to understand, we grew in Nir Oz in a kibbutz lives, which is, we grew all of us in a kid's house, children's houses. We never slept with the parents. The parents have like a 500 square feet houses, very small. We came from 4:30 until 7:30, and then we go to sleep with all the kids. So, by the way, Corinne, she's like my sister. I know her better than my sister. So we all know each other very well, and we are a very, very strong community. So we understood that the most important thing for us is to get all of us together and move together and make a healing process somewhere else. And we found, we go between some kibbutzim in the Negev, and we search for a kibbutz that will want us, that will have the place for us, and will have and of course, we found this kibbutz, Beit Nir, which is just 5 miles away from where we are now. And now we are trying to make it happen.
I just want to add that, people don't realize that raising kids in the Otef Gaza, like the
Envelope of Gaza.
yeah. It's like every day it impacts your everyday life for 15 years. It's not something new. And in those 15 years, we were trained and taught to tell our kids that they're safe and the safe room is protecting them. And we have the strongest army in the world, and America is on our side, and all kinds of different things that we told them and we told ourselves. For me as a mom, I feel like it's not only that I don't want them to live the trauma again. I feel like I can't, I don't even believe myself how can I put them in beds to sleep at night again and tell them that it won't happen again? Because this is what I told them all their lives, that something like that will never happen and they're protected. So I feel like in order to build their confidence in the world and in people again, I need to tell them something that I believe in. And unfortunately, I still don't, I can't say that to them now. So that's another reason for me as a mom to seek for a place that I can tell them good night and truly believe that they will wake up in their beds in the morning. And that's, it's another reason that I feel like I can't go back.
Especially from what you've told us, that many of your kids, even though they are in a safe place now, are getting up in the middle of the night and don't make it through the night so easily, so that the trauma continues to come back to them.
It never, it's always there. It's like in noises, in people that they see, in dreams that they're having, what they eat and what they don't eat. They can call me crying in the middle of the school day and tell me that their misses their grandma and their uncle and their friends. They lost friends. Their friends were in captivity. It's like, it's kids that you can imagine if they can sit on the couch and play Fortnite and talk between them words and sentences that you can't believe your kids are saying those words. It's like the changing experience from this day. Like, what did you put on your mouth when your house was burned? And is this friend is murdered? No, he's in captivity. No, it's like this is like their every day talks between them. It's another thing and another reason that I understood that it's so important for them to have their friends that they can speak about, because no one else in the world will understand what they're talking about. And so it's like it's their everyday struggle as parents.
This is, a lot of you ask why we keep on going. We've always gone to Israel a lot, but we continue to go so much because I have something that I use to protect myself. I don't do it consciously, but you try to separate a little bit because it's too hard to hear this all the time. But I make sure to go back or to spend time with these folks because I don't want to forget what they're saying. Because it is easy for us living where we live to go on with our own lives, and it's a natural instinct to push trauma away, even though it's adjacent trauma. It's not our own direct trauma. And so I'm not here to try to bring you down, but I am here to try to make sure that you understand that this is 14 months later, but living so vividly today. Really, really, really important to take that with you. I have 5 other questions. I'm just going to cut down to 1 question left because I do try to promise that we're going to let a bar mitzvah family go home and eat dinner tonight and prepare for tomorrow morning. I probably over-talk about the aspiration of hope. We have a whole campaign here with signs, which I still want you to take and still want you to put out there and still give out. But Lauren and I often talk at home when we're not arguing about over-serving or under-serving. Is there anything in each day that gives you light? And if there is, what gives you light and hope in the middle of all of this?
I trained my mind to have the hope in my mind all the time. But I feel it comes down to three things. Like the first thing is my kids and my family. Even though they're having such a hard time, they're resilient. They're kids, and you see them laughing, and you see them playing, and you know you get those moments, and you say, "Thank God for you." Like, and hopefully, I will be able to give you like a better future than what you have. And that's the first thing. I think the second one is our community. I feel like you have to understand it's like it's a big family. You know, when Siggy lost Dodo and she's raising 4 small kids, to me it's like I can't see myself living in any other place in the world but next to Siggy. I mean, and I lost my mom, which was my babysitter, my friend, my everything, and now I find it in other people in the community. So it's like, so this is the community is the second thing. And I feel like the third thing is like Lauren said, and I told you in New York when we were there, I feel like I saw, and also in the prayer, there was a sentence there that the evil can break your heart, but the kindness and goodness can heal your soul. So I feel like I truly met such a good people in the last year. So it does bring, like, I feel like it brings back a little bit of faith in humanity. Like, so this is what brings me hope.
And I can also add that another thing that we are giving our people, our community, the hope that we can move on, and then we can find a new life and a new home, and we will be able to laugh again and to dream again, and a future for our people.
What is ironic and strange is that for our family, and I think for the congregational family, you're the ones who give us hope, which is strange, right? Everything you've gone through, and you do that for us. There's an expression in English, and both of you speak English so well, but this is something called paying lip service. Have you heard that before? It's when it's just talk, and so we say lip service. But our words to you, I think you know this already, is not lip service. That we are so committed to making sure that you get to that next chapter, and I know none of it's ever going to heal what happened last year in October, nor will it bring back the people who were murdered by Hamas. We will do everything we can to help you make sure hostages come home, but we promise you this community is foursquare behind you. And it's funny, folks. You should, I wake up. Lauren gets up much earlier than I do. And inevitably, every single morning, I could be wearing, what you wear when you wake up in the morning. I could be wearing a suit to come to temple. Somehow Chen has seen me in all of it because Lauren is always on a Zoom with them. And so these folks over here, Lauren and Rachel and Amy and so many others, and Rena, but I'm getting in trouble by giving names, but I think sometimes that Lauren talks to Chen more than she talks to me. And I don't care. Because, but I don't care because I feel like we're becoming brothers and sisters. And this is a community that's going to stay married for a long time. And we're going to help you get to the other side. That we could promise you.
Thank you so much. Thank
I
you
can
all
take
so
this
much.
stage to just thank and to say to these wonderful people, to Matt, to Lauren, to Amy, to Rachel, to Paul, to Amy.
You don't have to mention Paul. It's okay.
But how grateful we are, and you don't know how much all that they are doing for us. It's something incredible, and we don't have words towards what we are feeling. So, and thank you all.
Folks, there'll be
Thank you.
please,
Thank
there'll
you.
be a moment after, of course, for sweets. and something to drink, and you could also be able to meet these folks if you haven't met them yet. So Shabbat Shalom to you, and we'll see you after services. We're going to ask you to stay up here for one more moment and actually